Hi there, welcome inside another episode of the OUA Basketball Show. Hope everyone is having a great Friday. My name's Griffin Porter, and folks, we had a fantastic week of OUA basketball, so let's get straight into it. We'll start on the men's side, which gave us some really interesting results this week. The TMU Bold, they sweep their weekend. They get a valuable win over the Western Mustangs in the process, which you'd think would give them a good position in the Central Division, but the U of T Varsity Blues sticking right with them. They've won their last two games, including a win on Wednesday against Ontario Tech, and now the Blues just half a game back of their crosstown rivals. Meanwhile, Brock also picking up a pair of W's this weekend against Algoma and Guelph. That win against Guelph, a big one. Michael Okeke putting up 19 points off the bench in a game Brock won by just 1 point. So a big game there from Okeke. And this Central Division is absolutely airtight right now with the Bold, the Blues, and the Badgers all jockeying for position. Elsewhere in the province on the men's side, Laurier up in their winning streak to 5 in a row, and they look like they're locking in the OUA West for that playoff push, while Queens and Ottawa, they both go undefeated to keep the OUA East tight as well. Meanwhile, over on the women's side, a big win for the Western Mustangs as they take down the TMU Bold behind 21 points from McKeely Shantz. And that leaves the door open just a crack in the OUA Central for the Brock Badgers. They're on a 4-game winning streak right now. TMU Bold have lost 2 games since the winter break. And in the West, Guelph picks up a win over McMaster on Wednesday. Stay right with Waterloo in that division. But the biggest story of the weekend in the entire province came out of Kingston, where Julia Chadwick made history in the Gaels win over the York Lions. And here to tell us about that game and a lot more about her season and the Queen's season, it's the woman of the hour herself, Julia Chadwick. And my guest this week, what an exciting person to have on the show. It's the headline maker and the record breaker herself, Julia Chadwick. I can already tell. Very humble. Julia, thanks for coming on the OUA Basketball Show.
Thank you for having me. Thanks.
My pleasure. It's exciting to have you, especially, obviously you've been a player that everyone has had their eye on all season, but especially after this last weekend that you just had. I figured we would start there if that's all right with you.
Yeah.
So we start out that game, and it's a game like any other. You're playing the York Lions, who are a good basketball team, and over the course of the game, I think people quickly realize that you're really feeling it that night. You're really hot. Does anything change about the way you approach the game, or about the way that like Coach Meadows might approach the game in that scenario?
Yeah, I think it all happened like really quickly, sort of as the game progressed. But our team has a lot of depth. So like one night, it's every night it's someone different that's hot, and we always try to get the ball to them when they're sort of like having a game. And I think that's what started to happen to me throughout the game, and that's sort of at the end when I was starting to get close to breaking the record. I think Claire made an emphasis to run actions that would feed me the ball. But yeah, I also think like it was a huge piece of it was my teammates recognizing like what was going on, and it was their efforts and ability to find me the ball in spots that were working for me. So it was like a huge effort from everyone. Yeah.
For sure, yeah. Nothing like this happens. Of course, you're an amazing player, but it's always a team effort, and that's great to see that everyone had your back. I also got to know you set 2 records, 43 points and 27 rebounds in a game. Is there something that you're more proud of, or even the 5 blocks? Because the 5 blocks I think is being slept on as part of the game, but that's the part that I really like too.
Yeah, I would say rebounds. I think it's something that I try to make an effort to do, and I think you have a little bit more control over as a player. And I find when I'm having a good rebounding game, the rest sort of follows.
Yeah, well, of course, everyone knows that you're one of the best rebounders in the OUA, so that makes a lot of sense that you take so much pride in it. Of course, that was the great game, but Queens at large is having a great season. You guys should be very proud of yourselves. Once again, you are one of the elite teams in the OUA, so we got to talk about that a bit. It's been going great so far. How are you guys satisfied with the way the season's been going?
I think we're pretty satisfied. Obviously, nothing's final and nothing's done, so it's just sort of building off what we've done leading up to now and continuing to grow and continuing to get better and learning from the things that are working for us and learning from what we need to do like better and continuing to improve and grow as the season goes on.
For sure. And for you personally, one thing I noticed just going over the box score, I do a little research before my interviews. I do a little prep here. This year, you're shooting a career best percentage from the free throw line, which is obviously something that's valuable to any team to make your free throws. It's so important. Is that something you're always a good free throw shooter, but now you're even better? Was that something that you focused on coming into this year? Because it's a big jump in the percentage this year.
Yeah, it's something that my team we work on in practice and like individual sessions, and it is something that's small but can have such a big impact on a game. So just like recognizing that, but I definitely do think it's something I still have a lot of room to improve. So hopefully, yeah, continue to work on
Well,
that. Yeah.
yeah, looking good so far this year. One other thing that I noticed, obviously, you're now as time marches on, you're in your fifth year of eligibility. You're one of the older players on the team, along with Laura. Do you like what's your leadership style? Are you the one to do like the big speech before the game? Now that you're one of the older players.
I'm not really huge on the big speeches, like pre-game. I don't know, but yeah, for me, like a big part of leadership is going into practice every day and the weight room and just like being present there. And I also think like making connections with everyone on the team is super important. But like you said, we do have a really veteran team, and it consists of a handful of really great leaders. And so I'm trying to learn from them and learn from the coaching staff. And I think my leadership skills have improved, and it's something that I'm a lot more confident in as like my career has gone on, but it's still something that I'm definitely growing and working on.
For sure. Well, is there someone on the team who does do the big speeches? Who does that when it's time for a big game?
I think it changes every week, but yeah, I don't know.
Wow, that's you guys are deep in
Yeah,
talent and leadership. Lots of different
yeah.
leaders out there. Uh, One last thing, just before I let you go, because you've already been generous with your time here. You guys have had two amazing seasons the last 2 years. First, that miraculous run. I was there in Kingston 2 years ago to get, not miraculous,
It's
but
exciting.
a great
Yeah.
run with the crowd and all that. That was really fun, is what I should say. That really fun run to win that third place game. And then last year, second place. We got third, we got second, and then how are we feeling about the hunger for that last spot on the podium?
I think over the last 2 years, we've gained a lot of experience from having been at nationals both years. And I think it's just like we're all really excited to have potentially another opportunity at nationals. And I think right now the focus is on like the weekend ahead and taking everything sort of day by day, practice by practice, game by game, and just continuing to grow and find our identity as a team. And I think that's what's going to really prepare us for playoffs and onwards.
100. That sounds like I don't know anything about winning basketball, but that sounds like a good approach to me. Also, just before you go, I wanted to point out we have like the exact same color
I noticed
background
that
here.
too.
I
I
like
was like, I
that.
noticed that.
It looks like we're in the same
Yeah,
room, just on opposite sides, but we're
that was
not. This is an honest to goodness Zoom interview.
yeah, that was one of the first things I noticed. It was like it's almost like we planned it.
There we go. That's why you're my favorite guest of the entire year so far. Julia Chadwick, congratulations on your phenomenal game against the York Lions. 43 points, 27 rebounds, 18 of 23 from the field, and well-deserved accolades and praise all over the OUA basketball scene. And thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me.
No problem. Good luck.
Thanks
again to Julia for coming on the show. It was so great to have her. And speaking of great, you know what else is great? It's great to look ahead and see some really exciting games coming up on the schedule this week. If you look at the men's side, I'm going to give the Laurier Golden Hawks some overdue love on this show. They try to make it 6 in a row against a solid squad in the Lakehead Thunderwolves, so that should be a good game. And on the women's side, I think we all know that we got to take a look at downtown Toronto. It's a clash of the Titans on Friday night as Queens heads into the Mattamy Athletic Center to take on the TMU Bold. We'll have to see if Julia can break all of the records that she now holds. But that's going to do it for us this week, guys. Thanks again to Julia Chadwick for coming on the show. And thanks to you for watching. Hope you have a great weekend, and we'll see you next week. My name's Griffin Porter, and you've been watching the OUA Basketball Show.